The CAT Advisory Committee is in progress. We'll open the meeting at this time. Warren, will you start with introductions?
I've got to hit your button.
Warren Holzman.
Nancy Muller.
Carol Luce.
Brian Peterson.
Scott Hess.
Heidi Muller. Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes of the past meeting? If everyone has read it, we'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
A second.
Was there a first?
It wasn't a first
I
yet.
didn't hear.
First, I guess.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed. We have no public input apparently, unless I'm not seeing somebody. We'll go to old business. Operations. Was Scott going to be here for? Oh, okay. Scott, are you ready for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, it's all yours.
All right. Both the 99X and dial-a-ride services have remained consistent with ridership. With the Canby Loop, we saw a bit of a decrease over the last couple months, but we had anticipated that with school ending in June and the high schoolers making up a good percentage of the ridership. Recently, with the heat wave we've had, it's thrown us a little bit of a curveball with dial-a-ride, where we've had a lot of customers trying to schedule earlier in the day to try to beat the heat. So it's caused a few scheduling challenges, but our dispatchers have done a great job working through it. Also, our driver attendance has been good, and that certainly helps. And that's always a concern this time of year during the summertime when the weather's nice. But fortunately, next week is looking a lot more favorable with the weather. Other than that, everything's running relatively smooth.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Any questions for Scott? Well, then we'll move on to Mr. Todd. Oh, Heidi is next. Do you have a presentation for us, Heidi?
Just a real quick one. So we got our service ridership statistics here for you guys. And as you can see, we've broken it out so you can see our 99X ridership staying pretty steady with ridership right now. And our fixed route actually broken down by demographics and age, so you can see that we have a lot of general public and actually quite a few youths, so that's kind of nice to see. And then here's our weekends. You can see again, we've got a lot of demographics.
What's the one in the center, the tallest one?
What's that?
What's the tallest one, the yellow one in the center?
So that is for April. We've had 370 general public riders on the 99X on the weekend.
Mhm.
Saturday.
We just had somebody come in.
Okay.
Is there any reason why it was that high, much higher in April, you know?
I do not. More people getting out, hopefully. So our Canby Loop stats, as Scott mentioned, we did see a little bit of a dip in June, because of school ending, but it wasn't as bad as I was thinking it might have been, just because of how many kids we have rides that I see in our youth stats. So, almost reached 1,000, but not quite. And then as you can see by age, our general public is pretty steady with our youth almost. So we're getting a lot. And we also do have a handful of people, seniors, riding the loop on the weekdays. Our dial-a-ride ridership, as you can see, it's gone a little bit up, but stay pretty steady. We're kind of maintaining over 1,000 usually a month. And as you can see, most of our riders are classified as ADA paratransit riders. Not so many in the general public or seniors. So. And then our weekend, as you can see, the many people, with the exception of the paratransit and seniors are riding on their own space. So that's kind of where our staffs are looking at right now.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Heidi? Scott, do you have any remarks?
No, looks right.
Great, great. I see someone who's come in from the public. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Bruce Blake
Mhm,
and live in Willow Creek and lived in Canby for about, 40 years.
mhm.
I recently was in assisted living in Chardon. And by the grace of our God, I came out of there, usually going there one way and you come out deeper to the other end. I was able to swim upstream and with some good medications and able to resume my life here, so that was real grateful for that.
Mhm.
When I was there was absolutely no public transportation. There was, they have a bus that was supposed to go in there, had went in there a couple of years ago. Go right down Airport Road and then turn left and get on the exit to work on the Wilsonville. They didn't stop in there. They still had the signs up. And they had a thing like we have here, the little go around, we call it the little shuttle there. And that was gone. The only thing they had, and I saw a lot of buses in there, a lot of smart stuff in there, but they were all dialarized and mostly medical. So when I went out to stand by, and the signs are still there. It's there a couple of months, and finally got squared away where I could try this. And I had to surrender my driver's license, so I was at the mercy of that. And I stood by this sign in the morning, and I stood by it, and finally one of these dial-ride drivers said, "You could be standing there a long time, because it hasn't been running for 2 years." Apparently a COVID sort of thing, I think it's initially, but really, and he didn't take the signs down. So I was just stumped. Why did this smart in there, they go to Salem 3 or 4 times a day, and they don't have any service to a place with a lot of potential riders, I would think, in the city of Wilsonville. I can't figure that out.
Well, doesn't Smart go into Wilsonville from Charbonneau?
They go past Charbonneau. They don't go into
Go right
Charbonneau.
past it.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I think they're embarrassed. I ride my bike a lot from there to home, and I think they're embarrassed about it. They go out to 551, go down the freeway that way. They don't go down there for road.
Well, I know that when Kat used to go to Wilsonville, we did go through Charbonneau, but that's been, I don't remember when we even quit going to Wilsonville.
You go there once in the morning, I think, and once at night.
Yeah, the 3X. I think it's the 3X.
Yeah,
Does
does one morning trip or one afternoon trip.
That Kat makes.
no, we don't
Smart.
we don't go to Wilsonville at all. Smart
what I
does all
thought,
the
yeah.
Wilsonville trips. Yeah.
One thing I would like to say is, as I begin to learn this, that gosh, you get here, particularly in the morning, you can go anywhere. There's all kinds of service everywhere. I was very impressed with that. So I started riding a little loop there. I live in Willow Creek here, so I catch it at Redwood and Territorial.
Mhm.
And so I got on and we went to Fred Meyer's and I assumed we were gonna turn into Fred Meyer's. We stopped there, we took off. And I said, where's the stop? It's right here. Out on the intersection. Right? You don't go in there to get people? Well, no, she said, they pulled this, they all, and they're wonderful people. Pulled this like it's a fixed route or some kind of darn thing.
Mhm.
And so, okay, so we kept on going. And I bought this to look confident, I only got that each of those. So then we go past the adult center. And I volunteered in there and did Meals on Wheels for a couple of years. There's a lot of folks in the back here. And this thing stops before the intersection of 13 on the right southbound side of the road. No way to get across to that stop or go through up here. These people can't walk that far. And there's a lot of potential right there. So we keep going, and we get to Hope Village. I said, surely we're gonna get to Hope Village. They got a nice drive under right here. People can stand inside out of the rain and heat and cold. We just go right down 13. I'm starting to think, this is great. So we take Burn Parkway and we come up to the Safeway right by our favorite farmers go there. And, I think we're gonna turn in there and pick up some people. Now we go put it out to this highway, and there's one out there. So then. I had one of the. So what I'm seeing here is a lot of people that could ride the bus and need it, that are underserved because these, I'm sorry, folks, I'm not a speaker.
You're doing fine.
We're glad to hear from you.
These folks are, I'll tell you, what it feels like to be stranded in a place like that. You know, I'm a little more mobile than a lot of those folks, but still, there's a lot of them that you can go different places. And if you can't get out, you just might well be in prison. You need to get out to refresh yourself and be living. Instead of just sitting someplace waiting to die. So what I see is, take first stop, take Safeway or Marks. Nobody's gonna stand up, you take your groceries, clear the doors there, and come out, put it out to the intersection. Plus, there's no place to sit. Old people, I can't sit around very long. Old people gotta sit down. There's no place to sit there. You come clear out there, you're just not gonna do it. The next place at Center, that's even worse. Nobody's gonna get across that road. But if that bus pulled in there, I think it'd be a lot of people, particularly in the times of day they have events there, which is constantly, it seems like that's a real going place there. And in Hope Village, my goodness, this is about 2 blocks from the door of Hope Village to the corner of 13th and 170. You could have tons, and if you pull in that up, what it's designed for, people are waiting inside, they see the bus, they're warm, they're dry. People are not gonna go out stand in the weather and have no place to sit down and do that. A lot of them just can't do it, can't go that far.
But you say you're living in Canby now?
Mhm.
So are you familiar with the Dial-A-Ride service?
I am.
Okay,
But
but that will take you right to the door of whatever store or business you need to go
Right.
to.
Right, and that's handy, but you gotta do that a day at a time, and it's only a fixed amount of time.
Mhm.
It's sure better than nothing,
Yeah,
but, and I don't know how efficient that is, one bus for one person, but, and then the Safeway is the same thing. If you turn right in by the hardware store there and get in somewhere in the parking lot, have a place to take on people. I was thinking that I see this is paid for by the merchants. It seems kind of unfair burden to me. What do I know? But I know that the merchants are paying for it because they probably want people to shop at their place. People that can't get to your place ain't gonna shop there. And, well. Yeah, so three of these 4 places have, if you pulled in too closer with one way or another, would have to be able to wait inside in the warm under cover. Folks are not, I've been on that bus about a half a dozen times now, and it's great. I've never been on it with more than three passengers. I think that could change. I'm just here to advocate for a little bit for that, just to tell you something that I've seen any kind of a unique perspective of that. Getting out of there with enough marbles to put 2 and 3 together. So I just wanted to tell that to you and have you think about that, and then be nothing but positive things here. I think this is a great little system here, but it could be more user friendly.
well, thank you for coming. I appreciate hearing from you. Todd, do you have a response?
I don't really have a whole lot to say. The decisions that you are referring to were mine. I made them specifically for several reasons. First of all, the Dial-A-Ride service covers most of the folks that can't get out. The problem that I have with Hope Village is that their drive system, it's actually pretty dangerous. You've got a circular pathway up and out. You've got cars in and out. You got people walking everywhere. You got speed bumps. Heidi and I drove through there probably 5-6 times, and it cost us, what, 5 to 7 minutes just to get through there. And I have fairly limited funds to run that service. So we decided that at this time, based on their driveway, it was not a good, efficient use of our time when most of the people that currently ride from Hope Village don't actually, they use our dial ride service. So that was my decision. As far as the parking lots go, I've always been opposed to going into parking lots just because of the sheer danger of buses going through parking lots. And Fred Meyer's, there was no easy way to do that without going all the way around the parking lot. Safeway, we probably could have done. We actually debated that one back and forth a few times, and we chose to stay on the highway so that people could get on the 99X. So that was the reason for that decision. The Fred Meyer's, there just was no easy way to do that. Part of the issue is that I am limited in the funding. This is a new service, so there's bound to be changes as we find efficiencies. And so we were limited in the money, and so we said, how can we run it as many times as possible, as fast as possible? So that's where some of these decisions came from, was just sheer efficiency. This particular service is not paid for by a business. It's actually paid for by the State Transportation Improvement Fund. It's a little different. It's not a huge distinction. So the hope is that the future is that we can expand the service and do a better job at hitting some of these areas, and be able to run maybe split services where you have 2 or 3 different buses, so that things like Hope Village become easier to get into. As far as the adult center, they're supposed to completely redo Ivy and put in sidewalks and make it a lot more accessible. So I'm hoping that solves some of that problem. But so these are definitely issues we continue to look at. And those are the reasons I initially made that decision. It's not even a year-old service yet. And so we're always looking to improve. So we appreciate,
A whole lot of.
Yeah.
I don't see here.
no, we appreciate the 2 cents because it's very helpful to us. And, we actually have spots on our transit advisory committee if you're interested in being a part of it.
I don't know who the lady was I talked to.
Oh, I just figured that out there on the phone really hard.
So,
I'm doing that until I get my life settled here a little bit.
sure. Yeah. Well, if you consider it, we happily pick you up and bring you back home. So,
We'll get the driver's license back next week.
well, sure. So anyway, but we appreciate this type of input. It is very important to us to understand how these things impact the community. And we try to look at these. I mean, we just reread about 3 months ago, we changed the route to help the middle school because we got a call from the middle school saying we got kids that can't get to school. Can you help? So we made some changes. So we're happy to always relook at these things and see if there's more efficiencies. I know there's a couple of parts of the route that we need to relook at and revisit and see if they're not functional.
I would say that it's not easy to get in front of Myers to say, well, it's
Sure.
smooth and easy with nobody on your bus.
Yeah.
You're gonna take work. You can say it's not gonna work and you don't have it. You say, what can we do here? Can we be just a try? And if you get it into Fred Myers and Hope Village, I think it'd be, like I said, I've never seen more than 3 people on the bus.
Sure.
Nice drivers and good talk.
Yeah.
And air conditioning, I like that. One other thing I would say that I live close to 99 in Territorial.
Mhm.
I see they took that stop off there for the Oregon City bus.
It should still be there. We haven't taken any of those bus stops off.
No, it'll be good.
Yeah.
That's a quick walk to my place.
Yeah, that one should still
A
be
lot
there.
of people let that whole area, you know, it's filling up in there.
Yeah, we're actually going to put in bus shelters on 99. So, yeah, that was the other thing you had mentioned. There's no place to sit. Being that it's a new route, we haven't got around to looking at amenities yet. We're just now putting shelters along 99. So it's,
I went to my doctor on South, I had Elm there. And
Yeah.
I took, come to the stop at Elm and 13th there.
Yeah.
And no place to sit, I'm standing in the sun. So I ran up to the corner, sat on a telephone. Little box
Yeah.
out there, till the game. And I'm 70 years old. All these people are older than that, that need the help. Anyhow, I just, again, want to thank you guys for allowing me to talk here and good to see Warren. How are you doing, buddy?
All right.
And so That's it. I'm more-
We appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate the feedback. We'd like, anytime you want to continue to give us feedback, we'll absolutely continue to look at these things and see if we can make improvements and make the system work better.
Well, I actually, in the situation I was in, I actually saw the frustration and the lives that were, I think, diminished by
Sure.
not being able to get out. And you know yourself, if you didn't have your truck or your car in your driveway, know you could go somewhere when you want to. you-
Makes a big difference.
you do things that, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Totally.
thanks, folks.
Good
Appreciate
luck to
it.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Diggers.
Could I tell them this information?
Okay, let's see. Heidi, are you finished with your report? You finished?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm all done.
Okay, then Todd, I think you have the next three topics, so we'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, okay. So we've talked about our stiff funding several times, it's not this, we're past July, but next July begins a new biennium. And so we're going to keep the Saturday service running and we're going to keep the circulators running. Well, we found out from TriMet that we ended up, we're bringing in more money than we thought we were bringing in. So of course you can't spend it. You're only allowed to spend it based on the plan you put in. So that money just gets held for the next year. But it means that Saturday service for the circulator is absolutely on the table. We absolutely can do it. There's no question that we will have more than enough money to add Saturday service with the circulator. So we will be expanding that to Saturdays. Yeah. And then I don't think we're going to have the money, but I did throw a little bit more money in the actual Saturday dial-a-ride and fixed route service. If enough money comes in, we may be able to expand the hours that service is available as well. The other thing I'd like to talk about in this vein right here, it's not really a part of STIF, but it's part of that Saturday service that STIF funds. STIF does fund the service, and that money comes from people's paychecks. It's not from the businesses. It's not from anything other than this tax that we all pay, right? And so my brain thinks that since everybody's already paying for it, then nobody should have to pay for it. In other words, if anybody, it should just be free for anybody to ride since it's already being paid for by everybody who pays out. Right now, we charge $1 for dial-a-ride and we charge $1 for the 99X on Saturdays. And I don't know what the exact process is because I believe I may have to talk to the city council, but I'd kind of like to hear from you all on the idea of eliminating all fares on Saturdays so that Saturdays are just free for everybody.
Sounds good to me.
You explaining the way it's funded, I think clears that up, that it would be better to be fairless.
And I think I hate to use the term free, but whenever people see that, they're like, oh, okay. And it'd be more inclined to ride, even if it costs $1, you know what I mean? When people see that, and if we can promote that, then that might increase that ridership a little bit.
It does two other things for us on the selfish end of the spectrum. One is it clears up with some reporting issues we have with TriMet, whom I report to for this money. They require accounting of fares and deduction of those fares from the funds we use. And so we could make that a lot easier as far as the reporting goes. The other issue is it would eliminate any potential fare disputes or hazards for our drivers when there's less support on. There's just less support on the Saturday service. We don't have a manager in, just a supervisor, and Heidi and I are not there. So it just one less thing to worry. We don't really have issues here in Canby, thankfully, but it just eliminates the potential for issues. So the all good reasons that I would like to pursue the possibility of eliminating all weekend fares if possible.
And you say that has to go to the city council?
I need to double check with our attorney because the fares were enacted by ordinance. So, but I don't know if that extends to the Saturday service, or since the Saturday service is a different pot of money, if that also needs to be, if that can be separated, or if the city will need to pass an ordinance eliminating fares on Saturday. So I need to verify with our city attorney what
If
the
it
process
does have
is.
to go to the city council, are they going to want input from us? And if so, can we give our input now and be ahead of the game? So we
Yes.
Wait another 2 months to,
Yes.
okay. So would you like it to?
Sure, go for it.
For today, does someone want to put it in the form of a motion?
I first, motion to, eliminate cyber repairs.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Are there any opposed? And motion carries.
Great. All right, shelter project update. In your packet, I just gave you a picture of what's coming. We have now ordered officially the shelters that are going along the 99. These are the shelters. They will have this bronze color will be on the roof. We had a choice between bronze, white, and clear. We thought clear would be a little too much in the sun. White gets dirty fast. And so we went with the bronze color. The slate gray actually was, we sent this to the city, our PIO and events coordinator, and said, hey, what do you think would look classy along the highway and still, and not detract from all the work they're going to do? And so she thought slate gray was a great neutral color. It doesn't get dirty like other colors. I know a lot of our colors are green, but she said you could always add like a sign or something to make it stand out if you wanted to, but the slate gray would look a little bit classier. So they're going to be the benches and everything will be that slate gray color. And so we're hoping we'll get those in, 3 to 6 months. And then it's just a matter of waiting for the state. The state has to do all their work and then we can start to put these in. So
The opening is going to be on the street side.
still openings on the street side. Yeah, because otherwise we would have to, you have to have 4 feet for ADA on the sidewalk. So if you were to turn them other than the street side, you would have to get even more right away in order to make it, go this way. So we pour a pad that's just off the sidewalk and it sits there and it's opened towards the sidewalk. So that's pretty typical.
Are we going to have any trouble with Union Pacific on this side of 99E?
The state is taking care of all that.
Oh, good.
So
We've
it
had
did-
some issues with them before.
Yeah, it did shrink. There was one, I think it's Pine, that one of our shelters had to shrink a little bit because of UP. I believe Kern McLeod is working with ODOT on Territorial and Redwood, but there should be more room there. But for the most part, UP has been pretty understanding and allowing us. We have to put up fencing. There's fencing that has to go there to prevent people from, walking on the tracks. But
Oh.
for the most part, they've been pretty easy.
And will someone from CAT be keeping them clean? Who's going to take care of that?
Yeah, we will have to come up with either an agreement with a contractor or we will have to hire somebody to go out periodically and clean them up.
Okay.
So we just hired somebody here not too long ago that did all our signs, the shelter and the transit center here recently. So we may just go that route where we periodically hire a company to go and just do a full cleaning of it.
And so how many shelters do you anticipate along the highway?
9 shelters. And then on Locust Street, we can't put a shelter because that's Fred Meyer's or Chevron? Fred Meyer right away. And so we could only put a bench and a solar light. So we have a solar light and a bench going in. All these shelters, by the way, have solar lighting in, so they won't be dark.
Okay.
So
So how far towards Woodburn are those signs going?
we're only going as far as Berg Parkway.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into these shelters. I mean, this project is going to be about $350,000 just to put these in. So, and that's just for 9 shelters. The sidewalks have to be redone. That's why we can do it with the state, because the sidewalks have to be redone. The ADA ramps have to be redone. You have to get right of way. You have to install pads. It's extensive. I wish it was just as simple as screwing a shelter down, but
I realize that you still have one topic to go, but before we move too far past this, I'd like to address the item of the signs that should be taken down. Well, we're not offering service anymore.
that's not us. That's Wilsonville. He's talking about Wilsonville still has their
Oh,
3,
I thought-
and they still do
Yeah.
service that.
Oh,
I thought they did it like once a day or something. Or
So they come to the Charbonneau assisted living. I can't remember the name of the place. I apologize, but they go there twice a day, once in the
For the
morning,
employees.
once at night. They used to go every hour, couple hours
Yeah.
from Canby, but and that was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, they cut it back. Plus, they weren't getting the ridership.
Yeah.
So they cut back the service.
Okay.
because of
So
the-
those are actually there. I can talk to their director and let him know and see if he wants to look at what's there to make sure they're still using it. I'll talk to him, but those aren't ours. So.
Okay, I thought that was what he said. Okay, you want to continue on?
Sure. This is just a reminder that we have 3 Transit Advisory Committee positions open, soon to be 4. So Warrant's gonna go and, try to live the good life, which, anybody at this point.
Well, Nancy and I have our eye on our visitor tonight.
Yeah, no, he would be great. We've done many different things to try to get the word out. We're not the only committee that's struggling to fill positions. It seems to be a common issue right now. So unfortunately, but just keep the word going. We'll keep the word going. If you know people who are interested, we would love a younger person. We would also love a Hispanic, somebody who can represent the Hispanic community. So that would be great.
So also, when you're talking about getting away with the Saturday fair, when did you plan to start that? Because of the stiff money, does that start after next July?
Let's say that again one more time.
We were referring to the stiff money and what we were going to do with it.
Yeah, that's next
That's-
July.
That's will be in 23, not this year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an incredibly long process.
Yeah.
We started this back in February, March.
Yeah.
And then we have meetings with Clackamas County. The next one's in August. Then we meet with TriMet repeatedly. And it all gets submitted somewhere in February to the state, and then the state approves it. It's just, it's an incredibly long, drawn out
Right.
deal. So we have to, the hard part about that is that means we never know how much money we're going to get. It's always just, you might get this much, so plan for this much. So this year, what I've done is I've planned for way more money than we'll probably get. Because right now I have $103,000 sitting at TriMet that I can't spend because it wasn't built into my plan. So
So what happens to that money?
we get it once we roll around. I've concluded that that's why we can do Saturday service for the city circulator, because it's about $50,000 to add the Saturday service. Well, that gives me 2 years of Saturday service right there.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so the hope is that we can continue to roll that down the road.
So that brings us up to the state audit.
All right, so I think I brought this up, but we had our tri-annual audit in June. It was in June, yeah, right after my son got married. That's right, and that went pretty well. It's always audits are always nerve-wracking because what they're looking at is your program to determine if your program is in compliance, what you're doing right, what you're not doing right. And we did fairly well. They always find stuff. That's their job, is to find stuff. Nothing major though. A couple of things that were directly on the city side that we have no control over. And then the rest of it was really just administrative things. Like I had done an RFP, looking for our contractor, and I had messed up some of the sections that I have to resubmit. It doesn't change anything. It just looks better. They wanted us to start making sure we did drive testing on our buses when we purchased them. So Heidi's did that on our 2 new buses we just got. So really we did fairly well. They said they gave us a lot of praise for getting all the data to them, and we haven't seen the official report yet. I will provide you a copy when we get that. That's in the state's hands. That can take months before the state ever gets you the official copy. And then the state gives you X number of days to fix whatever it is that they would like you to fix. So, but overall we got pretty high marks for our operations. So
Good.
pretty happy about that.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, Heidi, we're back to you again.
Oh, yes. I hope y'all are ready for this. All right, so we went to council this last Wednesday, not this last Wednesday, the Wednesday prior, and had a first reading regarding new technology. So there was basically the background. Right now we use Easy Rides, which is by Synchromatics. That's for our paratransit dial ride service scheduling. vehicle mileage documentation and everything. And then we use our Angel Track system for our tracking purposes of our GPS, which is also our camera systems. It's all tied into one. We've been wanting to do this for a while, but COVID hit and kind of pushed it back. We've kept money in our budget for this technology upgrade. And in our 22-23 budget, we reserved about $130,000 to do upgrades to the systems. So again, kind of went over the technology providers we currently have. With our Angel Tracks GPS system, unfortunately, one vehicle we can't monitor at this time because of the video system is different. So that's something that can get remedied in this. So it all started when Sandy approached Todd and said, hey, we're gonna do an RFP for technology. You want to join us?
Sandy, the city, just so. we're
Yeah.
clear,
Not a Sandy. So Sandy, Clackamas County and South Clackamas Transportation, AKA Malabas, all joined together for this RFP for the technology. We got 3 bids. Unfortunately, none of our current providers bidded. So after review, the group collectively agreed that Passio Technology and CTS Software are the winners of the RFP. Passio is a service, they do mobile data terminals, so the terminals that will be in the bus will make everything all electronic. They run all the fixed route software, all the app softwares for mobile devices. So we'll be getting an ability to have real-time tracking for the customers now, which we don't currently have. And then CTS will provide service for the paratransit dial ride software. And everything will be web-based, whereas right now, we're running through a remote desktop connection, which can cause sometimes headaches, especially when stuff's not lining up right, like your clocks, which is something we're currently dealing with.
Heidi, and also the automated stop announcements will be included.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that.
Oh, okay.
You're jumping ahead. So, Passio Technology, so I went over our fleet and what we got. We're gonna be purchasing 15 mobile data terminals, so tablets for the buses and our soon-to-be transit van, possibly coming in August, I hope. And then we're also gonna have 2 spares, because as you all know, stuff breaks. So if something breaks, then we can make sure it gets fixed right away, or at least replaced until we can get it fixed. We also are purchasing their automated stop announcement feature, which would be in compliance with ADA standards. So instead of the driver having to announce every stop coming up, the system is going to automatically do it on the bus for them. And then we're also going to have GPS tracking software. Their GPS tracking software will work with our current transit applications that are in this area and their feeds, but they also have an app-based program that we can use as well called Passio Go. And you can also have access it on the website in a website-based program with real-time location of the vehicles, stops, routes, times, everything. You click on it, it'll tell you when that bus is going to be there, how many minutes away it is, and when the next one is. And you can do it for any of the fixed routes. So Passio Go, a little bit about their app. We are going to connect it with the transit app that a lot of the local providers use, I believe. Is that the plan? Yeah. So, but Passio Go is one of their featured apps that we'll have access to. You can check where's the nearest bus stop from your location on your phone. You can select all routes, some routes, whatever you would prefer. You can choose individual stops. You can customize things. You can do vehicle locations, see how far away the bus is, see if you can run into Fred Meyer and grab a soda if you wanted to, and then get to the loop bus or the 99. You can save routes, stops for future use, that kind of stuff. For people who are not exactly tech savvy or want to use the app, they can always use the text message feature. So you'll basically text the stop number to a phone number that we'll have on all the bus stops. And it will give you an ETA of how far away that bus is and the next bus for that stop. And like I said, we'll have that phone number and all of our buses stops, exception, I'm working on the Canby Loop right now because I'm getting those coordinates done and those stop IDs done, but we'll have those on all the bus stop signs for fixed route. Now the good stuff, CTS. So CTS or TripMaster is going to be what our dial-a-ride program and scheduling program is going to be. It's all, again, web-based. Drivers will be able to use their tablet to communicate with dispatch. So if they have a situation that they can't exactly express over the radio or something's going on where they're wanting to let somebody know about something, they can actually use the tablet to connect with dispatch. And dispatch can also do the same. There's automated scheduling with time adjustments. Our current system doesn't. So the dispatchers, when they build the schedule, they have to actually go in and look at a table that shows them, oh, you're going to be 5 minutes late for this person based on the way the schedule is, and they have to manually change things. Whereas this system, you make a change, if you stack people on, it'll automatically move those times out on what actual GPS says. So there's a trip portal mobile app and online rider management. So if you don't want to call in, you can always submit your ride request online. So you could set up any trip and it'll go to dispatch for approval. And once they approve it, it goes on the schedule and you get a confirmation. We'll have automated passenger reminder calls, which we have now, but there's also a button on the tablet where the driver will hit it. After they've done a drop off, let's say you're the next pickup, they're going to hit a button and it will tell you, hey, we're on our way. And it will send a phone call or a text, whichever the client prefers, with how far away the bus is. Again, call ahead service is kind of tied into that. The tablets will also have pre-post trip vehicle inspection reports, which is a good thing. That'll save us a lot of paper and time and cost, because currently right now we have to buy the books, get the carbon copy, and then we have to store them. And it's a fun thing. Nancy can tell you all about it. And then we'll get automated reports. We currently get reports that we can do on our current system, but these ones are going to be a little bit more detailed, and I'm going to have them built to exactly what we need. So a lot of my spreadsheets are probably going to go away. So sad, but it's okay. But these reports are going to be more detailed, more accurate, and they're going to tie in with everything in the system. And again, where's my ride is a text feature that clients will have. So you can actually look up and see where your ride is currently at. And I'll get into that in a second. So again, the trip portal, interagency communication. If another agency has this, we can actually communicate with them if they need to connect somebody to our service. Online booking of trips as a feature. And again, the dispatch staff will review if it's after hours, we can't accommodate the trip because of a specific reason. They'll get a reason why if it was denied, like if somebody did it overnight request. So a little bit about the where's my ride feature. So when they click on the envoy button, text message will come through to the client, and they can actually click on that text message and it'll show the bus on a map and how far away it is. So this will help reduce wait times So hopefully a lot of the 5-minute countdowns will start dwindling down to not almost 5 minutes. So we can actually let people know, hey, we're on our way, be ready, we'll be there in 2 minutes. And that way people can stay inside, especially on a hot day like this, where it's AC'd and cooled instead of standing outside for 20 minutes, waiting for their 20-minute window on when we're gonna get there. So that should help a lot with that. And the fun part, all the money. So our current service annual cost for Easy Rides and Moto Tracks is about $16,826.40. We are going to see an increase, but you're also, as you can tell, we're going to have an increase in technology and services. So our cost annually will go up about $6,481. Our one-time costs overall is going to be about $105,479 or 80 if you want to round up. Which obviously is underneath our 130 that we already have allocated for this. So we're right where we want to be, and I'm hoping that this is a great service. We are hoping to sign a 5-year contract with them to keep these rates locked in for 5 years, just because of current climate. Any questions?
Yes, I didn't understand, is the current system going to be tossed, or is it going to be compatible with the new?
The current system, we're going to be migrating all the data and everything.
No, speak English, I don't understand tech.
That's okay. We're going to take all the data and information from that system and merge it over into TripMaster.
So we're going to chuck it.
But yeah, the system's going to be gone and we're using TripMaster, but everything that's in it will be able to move over.
In today's world, you don't own any of the software anymore. You know, you pay for a service as opposed to the software.
Okay,
So the old software goes away completely and new software takes over.
so when do you anticipate this being in effect?
That's going to ask.
We have a second reading next Wednesday. 30 days after that, we can begin the process of, assuming the council votes it in. Then we have to wait 30 days, and then we can begin the process of moving this technology into place. It's probably going to take 3 months because every bus has to have electronics installed into it. And then it'll take a little while for the dispatchers to learn the new software. All the drivers are going to have to learn new software because it's all goes from paper to digital. So I figure about probably 3 months, probably be fully up and running, and by December, if we're lucky.
By the first of the year anyway.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be moving slowly through the process through then, because we'll turn on bits and pieces. The fixed route side, the Passio software will be pretty seamless as far as riders go, except that because we won't turn on the features that they can use until they're ready. So the Dial-A-Ride will probably be a little more painful because it's a completely new system that the dispatchers have to learn. We have to build all the different rules into it. And so there's going to be some growing pains but we think it'll be much more efficient. One, we get away from the paper and we get to tablets, which means that drivers are no longer beholden to paper. So if we need to make changes to a route during a day, we can just do it and it'll automatically update their tablets. And it's much, much more efficient that way. The CTS software also has a much more efficient algorithm for scheduling the rides. We tried to do that with this current system. It did not do a very good job. CTS is supposed to be better about that so that we can have the system trying to find more efficiencies for us.
So how do you plan to educate the public?
So we'll work on the public there. I want to be very clear about this because the council asked me this question as well. If you're not a tech savvy person, nothing changes for you as far as the process goes. If you don't want to use the technology, you don't have to use the technology. You can still pick up the phone and call us and say, I want my ride tomorrow at such time and such time. And that will be exactly the same. So for the people that don't like tech or don't want to use tech, it does not change for them. For the people that do use tech, we will start to go out there and work with people, do some demonstrations, talk with people, bring them into the office if they want that level of help, produce some guides. So try to get, once we figure it out ourselves, try to get some info out there for folks. So.
I think it just gives the community more options, whether either
Yes.
if you want to stay as you were previously, or, people that are a little more tech savvy. I like the fact that you can kind of like even if you order like your food with Uber or something like that, you can see if it's on the way. Now, that's a great thing. People, it'll make it a lot more convenient, like you said, for, you can, if you have the app and you get a little education on it, you can see when the bus is going to be right there. So you can just walk out your house within a few minutes and it'd be right there.
I think, Carol, for a lot of our dial-a-ride clients, it probably nothing's going to change for them because most of them don't have computers or don't want to have computers and could care less about any technology upgrades. And I completely understand that. There's tons of benefits on our side of the fence.
So I'm glad that it's, that people who want to continue with what they're familiar with can.
Yes.
Now, my issue would be if I had to do it on my phone or on a computer, I don't see that well.
Yeah. No.
Even just dialing is a difficult problem for
Yep.
me. Luckily, I can talk a text.
Yep.
But then I don't know how to send it. It
Yep.
ended up being a phone call anyway. So.
We have a lot
We will
of,
always answer.
yeah, we have a lot of folks that don't even own phones or don't own computers.
But
And
here's the good part. The people who are not yet the dial-a-ride riders and ADA, they're going to become dial-a-ride and they will already be.
yes, they will already be
In another
done.
10 years, it'll be no problem.
The other benefit that we will get from this is statistics that we don't currently get. For instance, if I want to find out how efficient the 99X is, I have to have Heidi do a whole lot of research on it. We've done that and we found that the 99X is very inefficient. This system will do that for us. We can actually have it do these charts that I produce and Heidi produces. It'll build those for us on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. We'll be able to see how our system's actually performing. It'll tell us when the buses are on time. It'll tell us when they're late. It'll tell us when there's problems. So it's going to give us a lot more visibility on the actual system than we currently have, which for us is huge because right now we're doing everything by radio.
And it's also gonna benefit because it'll also help us with what stops are most active and what times. Because the drivers aren't gonna just mark when somebody gets on. They're also gonna mark when they get off and the GPS is gonna track which stop that is and create a whole data. Whereas before, back in the day, we would have them write down or hash marks on, off, when they had to do off.
Yeah, our entire circulator first 6 months was, we had spreadsheets where they would put little hash marks on them so we could see what stops are being used and what stops aren't
So
being used.
basically, this is going to be a big help to
Yes,
the administration and the operations.
yeah,
With some benefits to the riders.
yes.
Some convenience for the riders.
Yep.
Okay, does anyone else like to make a comment? Ask a question?
Well, is this going to be compatible with what TriMet has? As far as,
No,
okay,
I mean, okay, yes and no. So TriMet builds most of their stuff they buy software and then they modify it internally. They have, I think, one of the largest IT departments in the state. So they use very specific software. It's also significantly more expensive than anything we can hope to afford. But TriMet does use a thing called GTFS, and that's a universal language that Google reads. That's what the G stands for. It's Google's. And we will do the same thing. We will use GTFS. So if you have what's called the transit app, that transit app will show you where our bus is and to show you where the TriMet's bus is.
right, okay.
So if you wanted to run a trip from Canby all the way through Portland, you could go to the transit app and it would look at our service, tell you where the bus was, and tell you what to connect on the TriMet side. So it's a pretty cool system.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
A lot of the GPS features and apps, I think, are gonna be more popular with the fixed route,
Mhm.
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Because they use it for TriMet all the time. And a lot of
Well,
our people connect with. TriMet.
Just a word of caution. Be low key to the ADA community. when you bring this on. I mean, don't scare them by saying, well, this is all this wonderful new transit
Yeah.
technology, and they're all going to run for cover. And then
Yeah.
they're all going to start calling complaints. And, it's going to be a mess. So just let them go on with the way we are. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
If you want some new information, give us a call. We'll explain it.
That's a really good point, because that is,
To you, it's all
concern,
just
yeah.
like bread and butter. And to us, it's like, ooh.
yeah. And yeah, that was, like I said, that was one of the concerns of one of the counselors is what if I don't do tech? Well, it's not going to change. You just keep calling us and we'll keep scheduling your ride. On our end, it's a much easier to schedule. They can plug it in the system. This system will go, oh, it fits right here. So I'll put it here. But on your end, it'll look exactly the same as it did before.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And can I ask another thing?
Sure.
Will this cut back? This technology, will they cut back on the confusion on how a person is picked up and dropped off? I mean, everything will be sensitive to their time, pickup times and things like that.
A lot of that's programming on our end. Yeah, we have to
Yes.
make sure that we set the parameters correctly. That's why I
Okay.
said there's going to be some growing pains when we find out, well, this doesn't work. So we need to do some tweaking. For instance, my friend in Clackamas County, the drivers have to have brakes. So she scheduled the brakes in the system. Well, she didn't schedule any cushion on the top of the brake or the bottom of the brake because she didn't think about it. And turns out that the system was scheduling right into their brake. Like they're supposed to be on brake right the second. Well, they're still on the road because they just dropped somebody off. So she had to learn to build a 10-minute cushion on the front and the back end. And once she did that, it worked perfectly. So a lot of that's going to be on our end, making sure we get it built correctly and then fix it once we realize we didn't. And hopefully once we get it fine-tuned, it'll work. But nothing's perfect.
So then there should be no more drivers complaining that they didn't get a lunch, which I haven't heard for a long time, but I used to hear
No,
it
no, They
regularly.
all get lunches.
Yeah. I've been here and I was supposed to have my lunch, 2 hours ago, and I haven't had lunch yet. And so-
Our current manager is very good about making sure that the drivers get their breaks and lunches.
Good.
He does a good job. Yeah.
Angry driver.
Every once in a
Lines are expensive.
while.
So does that take care of this part of the meeting and new business?
Once we get a little closer and the stuff is starting to be implemented, we'll bring the software to this place and give you guys a demo of what it looks like. So you can see kind of what we're dealing with, but that's, that'll be sometime in the fall. So you're welcome to come back for that meeting and see it. So, or you can watch it on YouTube. Either way.
You'll be free to ride the bus now. You
Yeah.
can Go all over town.
That's right. On your way to your Walmart
You can
greeter
get to
job.
Walmart in Woodburn.
Yeah.
So does that bring us up to new business now, Todd?
We're in new business.
Okay.
Let's see. So I'm the last here. So we did get I mentioned earlier, we finally, after 2 years, got our other 2 buses. We're waiting. Our problem now is it's really hard to get through DMV because they're so backed up. So Heidi's going to go stand in line for 6 hours tomorrow and try to get our buses through DMV so that we can get license plates so we can get them on the road. But these are the 2 buses that were originally supposed to start with the circulator. These are the buses in the STIF program that were purchased for the Canby Loop. And here we are a year later from the time they were supposed to start. They're finally here. They're exactly like our other buses, except for these are better built. They did a much better job on the fit and finish of these, but they're identical. Most riders will not know the difference between these and the other ones. So
No,
nobody will notice. And whatever she's mentioning will not be noticed.
they're 2021s.
Yeah.
We
So
got
no,
newer buses.
So they look exactly the same.
2019s.
Well, I would expect the new bus to be a new bus.
Yes, yeah. So we're excited about that. We are still waiting on our transit van. Last I heard was August. August is rapidly approaching and I have heard nothing about them. So
About what?
a transit van. So that if you might not remember, but it's been almost 2 years for that too. We ordered a Ford Transit, which is a really long, tall, skinny van that holds 3 mobility devices or 9 passengers or any combination. And we got this with CARES money, which is money from the government. And it was about $90,000. I think they cost 120 now. But the goal is to give it a go and see if it'll replace our cutaway buses, the current dial-a-ride buses we have, because they're more efficient, they're smaller, they're easy to operate, they use less fuel, and they're easier to maintain. And TriMet's, if you've ever noticed, TriMet's moved about half their fleet over to these vehicles because they are more efficient. So we thought we'd give it a go, and we ordered one. We just haven't got it yet. So hopefully that'll be here in August, September. I don't know, next year. But we're just excited because we got 2 new buses. So yay. Now we can get rid of some of the older buses.
Okay. I have a couple of questions that I guess probably are not really new business. I was wondering if I had any more contact with Marion County about,
I haven't yet. They haven't contacted me. They send me emails periodically, but they haven't stood up their STIF yet, as far as I can tell. It looks like the state has pushed it off to TriMet's doing theirs in November, October. So I'm waiting for that.
does Woodburn get money then from Chariots?
Woodburn gets money from Woodburn, but they also get money from the Salem Area Transit. Yeah.
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 I don't believe I have any more questions. Do you?
In discussion items, or are we okay? Well, as Carol, in honor of your 90th
Oh, thank you so much.
next week. So,
Yes, Monday.
yep,
Yes. Happy birthday.
birthday
Thank
girl.
you, thank you.
We have cold waters and some cupcakes down below.
Maybe not.
So anyway, happy birthday to you.
Hey, Scott, you ought to be here.
It's the day that I'm not there. You got to bring out the goods.
Not nice to Heidi, maybe she'll bring one for you.
There you go.
I'll bring you one in the morning.
Lauren, is there anything you'd like to add before we adjourn?
Nope.
No? Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there first and second? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned at whatever time it is. I
It
guess.
is 7:01.
7:01. We had just about 1 hour of a meeting tonight.
I think our next meeting is September something or other.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have it? I don't have it.
That's all right.
Give me
We'll-
2 seconds.
Is the loop going to go anywhere near the fairgrounds or does it?
It does not.
Yeah.
And frankly, I know they talked to me about that.